Good afternoon, everyone. I normally step out and say, welcome to the historic Cocoa Village Playhouse. And so today I'm saying, welcome to our celebration of life for Jason Crase. And I wanted to thank Jeremy and Adam Poston, who did the video, and Brian for making us heard, and for Dan Hill with his beautiful decorations. Doesn't the stage look like Jason today? Yes, yes. And so now I'd like to introduce what we call him, our resident chaplain here at our theater, Dr. Jeffrey D. Hoy. And Jeff will be leading us today. And he served in many different shows with Jason, including Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. So, Jeff?
Thank you, Stacy. This is one of those days when we need to pray, wouldn't you say? And so I invite you to join with me. Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we are so grateful that you have the big picture, that you know the larger plans of life and birth and death, because these are mysteries that are quite beyond us. And so as we gather together, we come to celebrate what we know we can celebrate, and that is life. We celebrate gift. We celebrate the gift of Jason and so much that he has meant to us. Keep us focused upon that. We seek your presence among us as we share cherished memories, precious moments, as we lift those moments and celebrate the amazing gift that you gave to the world when you gave us Jason Carl Crase. We also very much seek the comfort that only you can give to us as we grieve this loss. We pray that you would gently be among us, that you would put your hand upon our shoulder, that you would touch our hearts, that you would whisper reassurance to us in this time. And it is in your holy name that we pray. Amen. Also here, guiding us and moving us is someone that we often say needs no introduction. I can't think of anyone better to represent the heart and the voice of many, many performers over these years than Rick Roach. Rick's been here a long time. That's not to say he's an old guy, all right? But he's here, and it's been my joy to share the stage with him. And I wrote to him and I said, well, at least this time we won't be grappling and butting heads on stage, or I won't be spitting in your face or anything like that. But I invite Rick to come at this time as we continue with our time of celebration.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone here. Also to those who are joining us via live stream. Thank you. It is a privilege I would prefer not to have today. But as we gather to celebrate and remember our friend Jason Crase, I am honored to represent Jason's Playhouse family and share some thoughts and memories of his time here in this very special place. Like you, I'm still processing the fact that this time Jason won't be walking back through the doors and gracing the stage with his vibrancy and electric smile. Like you, I am saddened by the thought that this stage will never be quite the same again. But I am comforted in the knowledge that this is a place of joy for Jason. And so we must celebrate him with a lighter heart, knowing it's what he would want for us all and from us all. So let's talk about Jason and try to capture just a little bit of the delight it was to know this multi-talented, multifaceted, beautiful human being who touched our lives. I can't tell you the exact number of times he performed on this stage, but what I do know is this. He was one of the original stars of Tomorrow, starting at age 13, and he participated for four years. On the main stage, he was a Gold Star performer for 8 seasons. That's at least 32 shows right there, probably more. He was a stars director for 3 years and also directed 3 times in the Summer Fine Arts program, including directing a production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. You may have heard of it. A show that was indeed near and dear to his heart. He performed twice in 1776 during what we call the field trip years, performing at the King Center for Brevard County High School juniors. In 2018, he was selected to be a member of the historic Cocoa Village Playhouse Hall of Fame. He played leading or significant roles in multiple shows, and I'm sure I'm missing a bunch, but including Joseph 3 times. I'm wearing my pin that has the 3 times that we played it in Joseph together. Joseph, Meet Me in St. Louis, Beauty and the Beast, Peter Pan, Cinderella, White Christmas, Spamalot, West Side Story, many, many more. And like most of us, Jason was a man of many worlds, or villages, I call them. He had his playhouse village. He had his village of some of his closest, most intimate friends. And he had his world of Cocoa Village friends from his time at Murdoch's and other places here in the village. And at various times, he was in villages in Ohio or Orlando, wherever. He moved easily between them, and they often overlapped. But whatever circle he was enjoying, he was universally loved. And if he left one village for a season, regardless of the reason, he was always welcomed back sincerely, enthusiastically, and affectionately. Because Jason Crase had a light. It's a common thread that I saw when the horrible news of Jason's passing began to circulate. It was the word light, that smile, that voice. The way he made you feel immediately comfortable and genuinely interested in engaging with you. He lit up the room. He lit up pretty much any space he was in. Even if the space happened to have full racks of expensive Broadway lighting, his light somehow always shone a little brighter. And in fact, he shined brightest when he was under the bright lights of the stage. Of course, here at CVP, he will always be our Joseph among his performer friends and fans. Some of my fondest memories of him are times sharing the stage during multiple runs of that show, but more on that later, I promise. It was the role of Lumiere in Beauty and the Beast that seems to have been so fitting, so appropriate, so Jason. I mean, in that show, he didn't just have light, he was a light. He was literally playing a candle, for heaven's sakes. He was tasked with embodying a light. Is that perfect casting or what? I remember seeing that performance and Jeanette and I talking on the way home about how impressed we were at his ease and his grace and comedic timing, and that the performance we just saw from Jason was literally worthy of Broadway. You could have picked him up and dropped him onto any stage in New York and he would fit right in. He was born to play that role. It was beautiful. I hope you saw it. We also commented then that he always displayed unwavering dedication to getting the most out of every role we ever saw him play. It didn't matter the size of the role. If Jason was in a scene, he elevated that scene. And he didn't suck focus. He just had it. Your eyes were drawn to him, and whether you were an audience member or playing in a scene with him, he made you feel comfortable that this guy knew what he was doing. You could see how much he loved performing and how he honored the art by giving it his all. I think it helped his motivation that when he was performing, he was in his happy place. Some actors are drawn to performing because of the escape it provides. There was probably some of that with Jason, all of us, I don't know, but it felt like Jason was just so good because he loved doing it. It brought him joy. And that joy shone out of his big smile and bright eyes, dancing feet like a huge, big light, because he was sharing his love for performing with audiences and with other actors, and he loved to show them how it's done. So how did Jason get to our stage here? I wasn't really sure, so I asked some old timers. Yes, I said old timers. They're all much younger than me. He was one of the original stars of Tomorrow, along with Sally Osborne Kularovich and Jennifer Faye Farmer, I hope is tuned in. And they were kind enough to share some of their earliest memories with me and how and a little bit about becoming lifetime friends with them. So this is from Jennifer about the early days of meeting him. He said, "We first met when Jason showed up to open auditions for Children's Community Theater's production of Sleeping Beauty in the old Rockledge City Hall building on River Road. I was 14, so it must have been the end of '95 because I was 15 when we performed it. Like most places, we had our core group of people, but Jason was new and he was the most beautiful boy, causing all the young girls to immediately fall in lust with him. Not surprisingly, he snagged the role of the prince. He had girls asking him to go out with them through the whole production. He even dated one of them who eventually won a Florida beauty pageant, but he was always prettier than her." Of the early days, Sally told me, "Jason came to the Playhouse when I was 16, so around 1993. I don't know, they can argue over the dates. "I remember this kid who could sing and dance and he was funny and sunny." Love that. "So I made him my unofficial little brother. Growing up at CBP during that time was amazing because we were so new, and for the young people, we were coming out of Children's Community Theater, and now we were here with real grown-up actors. We felt like explorers, and that whole world of theater was wide open for us. Jason and Jennifer and I would put on our shows in the back parking lot, right back here, which is where the annex is now. We did the first performances of Cats and Secret Garden back there. Didn't even have the rights." Sally continues, "I graduated and left first, but when I came back in 2004, there was Jason waiting for me. Through the years, it was Jason that left, but he always came back, popping back up with that sunny smile and positive outlook for everything." On the subject of blossoming friendship and stage memories as they grew up, Jennifer shared, "During Meet Me in St. Louis in 2002, he played John Truitt, my boy next door. My dad had passed away in August, and this show was in the November-December time slot. So for reasons more than just my dad's passing, I was a wreck and sick through a lot of rehearsals. I even missed 3 or 4, which in those days was unheard of, especially for the lead. Jason was supportive, compassionate, understanding, and patient. During one performance, when singing the beginning of You Are for Loving, just him and I on stage, his words just left him. And so the lyrics that were supposed to be, when we met, the spring was nearly summer, the lilacs were in blossom, I recall. Later on, with summer nearly autumn, I knew I'd fallen long before the fall. On stage, he replaced them with these lyrics. Humma-numma, humma-numma, numma. The numma-numma, humma-numma, num. Humma-numma, humma-numma, autumn. The humma-numma, fall. He was mortified and fairly inconsolable at his gaffe. It took a while for him to be able to laugh about it, but we would often sing his newly written replacement lyrics to each other. It was one of our favorite on-stage memories together. And here's a little bit more from Sally. One of my favorite photos is of Jennifer, Jason, and I at a Christmas party. There's just something so special about friendships that start when you are so young and that grow and flourish as you get older. We remember the people we were as we embrace the people we are. Only old friends like that truly know you best. Jason was always laughing, and it was so easy to get him to laugh. Every show of Joseph, I would try and do something to get him to laugh on stage, and he would do it right back to me just as badly. He loved the children of the Playhouse, and he really loved watching their creativity blossom and grow. I think his favorite moments were when he saw that shy child in the back row step forward and say their lines proud and strong. He remembered how he felt as a kid performing and wanted to share those experiences with the children at CBP so they knew that they could do or be anything and that anything they could imagine was possible. I say dream will do. So I thank Jennifer and Sally for for helping me through some of those early memories. For me personally, my fondest memory of Jason was sharing the stage with him during Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. We reprised our roles during 3 different runs of the show. I remember watching early rehearsals the first time we did the show and seeing Jason working out the scene of being thrown into the pit prior to singing Close Every Door. And wow. I watched him transform from Jason, a happy-go-lucky kid, into Joseph, a scared, lonely, abandoned, determined, courageous soul. And he squeezed every emotion out of that scene and that song, and it was that moment I knew he was a star. I saw an actor with a deep connection to a role who poured himself out on that stage, performance after performance, like an offering to a grateful and mesmerized audience. Another Joseph moment for me happened opening night, the first time we put the show up in front of the audience. When the Pharaoh number hit the first stop at the beginning of the second act, before the scripted encore, the audience was going crazy. And I was hamming it up in all my Elvis glory. And Jason looks back upstage at me, and he makes this great eye contact right before he's supposed to speak. So those of you who are performers know there are sometimes these moments on stage where you can be fully in character, but you can make eye contact with another performer and say so much without a word. So the audience is cheering and going crazy. We make this eye contact, and he raises his eyebrow, and he gives me this, oh, so this is how it's going to be. Oh, it is on. That's the look. And you may have seen it before. And then he does his line. I understand the part about the corn, and I'm not sure about the cows. Can you give it to me one more time, Mr. Pharaoh Man? But no, that's not the way he did it. He hadn't done before. He said, can you give it to me one more time? With the full hip shake and the knee dip, Mr. Pharaoh Man, And I almost lost it. I was not ready for that. And indeed, it was on. And we had so much fun playing together with that scene and with those characters over the years. I called him Pharaoh's little buddy, because in those scenes with me in platform shoes and the tall hair and Jason bare-chested, barefooted, hitting me about chest high, we were a comical looking pair. I will always treasure those times and the bond we developed sharing those moments on stage. Jason wasn't only a man of many villages, but like us, he was a man of many seasons. And sometimes those seasons meant we had no Jason around sharing the stage among us at the Playhouse or in Cocoa Village. And if he was away, he was sorely missed. We simply loved having Jason around. Mostly just wanted to support him and know how much he was loved. So after any absence, regardless of how long, and when circumstances brought him back through these doors, like the prodigal son, he was instantly and sincerely welcomed back. And the CVP universe seemed to be back rotating correctly on its axis. Long here, and because we missed his light. It is a rare and beautiful thing, unless you are competing against him for a role. And even then, you might butter under your breath, but you couldn't help like him and respect the talent. Sally summed up some of what we were all feeling in her note to me. I am fully expecting Jason to just pop in through the back door, singing a tune and beaming that megawatt smile. I am so grateful that I got to be in his orbit and be his de facto big sister. I know Jason would be so proud of all of us and proud of the stars that he taught. He inspired confidence, grace, and pride in so many young performers, and that contribution will be felt by the world as they go out and do great things. I miss my friend, but he is still here at our theater with the best seat in the house. Jason, buddy, I miss you badly, and I wanted so many good things for you. We love you, and we celebrate you for how much better you made our lives here. Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from another Playhouse performer, Jason's dear, dear friend, Andrea Poston.
I might melt. I don't know. I couldn't even prepare anything every time I started. I just couldn't. I met Jason. We were at the Playhouse. I was working in the box office, and I was one of Stacy's assistants. And I went to Oklahoma, and I came back, and all of a sudden, Jennifer Faye's in my office, and there's this other boy, and I'm like, well, where am I supposed to work? An office in the bathroom. It was that really good office. Back when we would do handmade posters and stuff, and it was like 2 hours after I'd been here. It was lunchtime, and we had eaten lunch, and we were like, oh, our breath stinks, and he handed me a Listerine strip, and I took it, and we're like, we should live together. So 2 days later, we're looking for apartments, and like it was just this instant connection. We were instantly twins. We were brother and sister. We were Peter and Wendy, and so many adventures that we went on and we spent together. And he would go off, but anytime he would come back, or I mean, we would always stay in touch. It was like he never even left. We knew everything about each other. We would be the only people in a room full of a million, and we could just speak to each other. He was there for all of my kids. They all called him Go-Go Joe. My oldest is 17 now. I think she was 3 the first Joseph, and she sat up there and watched it, loved it. I think she came to every show and loved it, and that was her Go-Go Joe. And my girls that are 2 and 3 now, they call him Go-Go Joe, and he's better than a Disney princess to them. Like, he walks in the room and they would just, you know, yay, Go-Go Joe's here. He was better than Mommy. And we had so many plans. We would just put on I'm dressed like a princess, because he would come over and spend weekends, like 4 or 5 days at my house, and we would just get into costumes and dress up and start singing karaoke and making shows together. And we spent, I think I was 19, he was 20 when we met. We're 10 months apart. And we grew up together. We were kids. I wasn't there for the early years, but we became adults together. We both worked in the box office. We both got fired from the box office. we just couldn't. We couldn't make it to work in time. And Stacy set us down in this front row, and she's like, "I am so sorry, guys, but you can't make it to work." And then just right before he left again, he brought me back in here, and we did all the hair and stuff for all the company of Cinderella, and we had so much fun doing that together. And I was excited that we were about to start this new chapter of doing this all together again. And you know, things changed, and he moved on, and he's always on another adventure, and that's probably where he is now, doing another adventure. And it's just completely unreal. I can't believe he's gone. I look at my couch, and he's supposed to be sitting there. He's supposed to look over the rail from his bedroom upstairs, and it makes me feel good that my house was his comfort place, that he could just come there and just relax, and he loved it there, and he loved being with us, and he loved Adam. You want to come share?
Something that you're going to hear in one of the videos tonight is something that we used to do at our house. And ironically, in Florida, we have a basement. Not many people have it, but it worked out. So we turned our basement into a recording studio where I would do voice stuff, and we would just have fun. And Jason was over this past Christmas, so right around December 27th, 28th, and we were singing karaoke.
It was Kwanzaa.
We were singing karaoke, and something told me just to hit record. I never record us just playing around in the studio, but I did. And some of what you're going to hear today is Jason's voice to a couple of songs that he has always wanted to try. So please bear with the poor capabilities of audio editing on my part, but to me, it sounds amazing. So I hope you guys enjoy it, because we absolutely certainly did. there's a little bit of video in there too, so you get to see him sing. So it's exciting.
One last thing I want to add. Every time now that I see a rainbow or a shining rainbow or anything shiny, I know that my Go-Go Joe, my Jason, my Peter Pan is right there. I have one of his prisms in my kitchen, and every morning it shines rainbows throughout the room, and my toddlers come in and they see the rainbows on the wall, and they go up and they kiss those rainbows and they say, "Good morning, Go-Go Joe." And I want to keep him with them, with us, always. I mean, I know we spent so much time, especially this last year, talking about the Playhouse and how we wanted to come back, and he was ready to get back on stage. And we were like, someday we're just going to be old people and run this place. And everyone's going to, it wasn't us that was going to run it. We said everyone is going to run it because he loved the cast and we're his family. And he's like, we're all just going to collaborate and be one owner, and we're just all going to be a family and do all the shows we ever wanted to do together. He was happy up here. He was happy when he left. A lot of people were wondering, was he sad? Was it something? It was not. He looked great. He was very healthy. He was in such a happy place. We had so many plans. The cruise, he was going to go to Utah, meet Joseph in the mountains, and he showed me the background of it, and lots of plans and everything. So there's so much. I could sit up here for hours and talk about it, but I won't, because I want you guys to see pictures of them and things we put together. So thank you.
Thank you so much. We're now going to view a video that was prepared by Adam, and as he mentioned, you're going to hear his voice. You're going to hear Jason's voice, and so let's listen and watch these images.
Good evening, Go-Go Joe. I'm good gone. Out of that flip-flop place. Oh my goodness. I've been in kind of a daze since I got out. Feels like it never happened, but I wonder when it's gonna come smacking down that it did happen. But I have a really nice house and a really nice room. I've been chilling out and nesting and just relaxing.
Give me one reason to stay here. Oh, and I'll turn my back around. Give me one reason to stay. Oh, and I'll turn my back around. Said I don't want to leave you lonely. You better make me change my mind. Baby, I got your number. Oh, and I know that you got mine. But you know that I called you. Oh, I called too many times. You can call me, baby. You can call me anytime, but you got to call me. Yeah. Give me one reason to stay here. Oh, and I'll turn my back around. Give me one reason to stay. Oh, and I'll turn my back around. Said I don't want to leave you lonely. You gotta make me change my mind. I don't want no one to squeeze me. They might take away my life. I don't want no one to squeeze me. Oh, they might take away my life. I just want someone to love me. Oh, and rock me through the night. Around every single time. Oh, yeah. youthful heart can love you, oh, and give you what you need. I said this youthful heart can love you, oh, and give you what you need. But I'm too old to go chasing you around, wasting my precious time. Give me one reason to stay, oh, when I turn my back around. Give me one reason to stay, oh, when I turn my back around. Said I don't want to leave you lonely, oh, you gotta make me change my mind. Baby, just give me one reason, oh, give me just one reason why. Baby, just give me one reason, oh, give me just one reason why I should stay here. Said I told you that I love you, and there ain't no more to say. It's all the same, only the names change every day. It seems we're wasting away another place where the faces are so cold. I drive all night just to get back home. On a steel horse I ride, I want it dead or alive. Want it dead or alive. Sometimes I sleep, sometimes it's not the days. The people I need always go their separate ways. Sometimes they tell the day about the bottle that you drink. And time when you're alone, all you do is say, I'm a cowboy on a steel horse I ride. I want it dead or alive. Want it dead or And I ride, yeah. Dead or alive, I walk these streets on a 6-string on my back. I play for keeps, 'cause I might not make it back. They're everywhere, and still I'm standing tall. I'm a cowboy. I'm still for side. I'm wanted. Dead or alive, cowboy. I got the night on my side, yeah. I'm wanted. Dead or alive, wanted. Dead or dead or alive. They say we're young and we don't know. Won't find out till we grow. Well, I don't know all that's true. 'Cause you got me, baby, I got you. I got you, baby. I got you, baby. They say our love won't trade around. For it's earned, our money's always spent. I guess that's so we don't have a plot, but at least I'm sure of all the things we got. Baby, I got you, baby. I got you, baby. I got flowers in the spring. I got you in my ring. You I can do wrong. Then put your little hand in mine. We can fly. Baby, I got you, baby. I got you, baby. I got you, hold my hand. I got you, hold my hand. I got you, walk with me. I got you, talk with me. I got you, kiss goodnight. I got you, hold me tight. I got you, come on, let's go. I got you, love me so. I got you, I got you, babe. 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 I got you, babe.
Who can say for certain? Maybe you're still here. I feel you all around me. Your memories so clear. In the stillness, I can hear you speak. You're still my inspiration. Can it be that you are mine forever? And you are watching over me from above. Fly me up to where you are beyond the distant star. I wish upon tonight to see you smile. If only for a while to know you're there. A breath away is not close to where you are. Argent sleeping here inside my dreams, and isn't faith believing? Or how can we see as my heart holds you just 1 beat away? I cherish all you gave me every day. 'Cause you are mine from us. And I believe that angels believe, and that love will live on and never leave. Fly me up to where you are beyond the distant star. I wish upon tonight to see you smile. If only for a while to know you're there. Come around the ways not far to where you are. I know you're there. A breath away not far to where you
I don't know about you, but all of those moments and performances and times with friends and times with family, to me, that's a standing O. Would you join me? It's a standing O. At this time, I want to invite Randy Crase to come on behalf of the family and to join us in sharing comments for us.
Hello, I'm Randy Crase. I'm Jason's father. My mother was not able to make it today because she just couldn't make the trip. But she did send something that she would like to have read to the audience. And my wife has agreed to read it. So Karen will read my mother's memory of Jason.
Gloria writes, my memories of Jay. We all have memories of Jay. I have grandmother memories. I am Jason's grandma, Gloria. We had many family events when Jay was growing up. All the aunts, uncles, and cousins would take part. And there was Jay, carving pumpkins on the porch, hunting Easter eggs in the yard with his cousins, doing one of his improvised dances across the front yard, or giving directions to his cousins on a movie he was filming. I first heard him sing in a grade school program. He sang, "It's Not Easy Being Green," the Kermit the Frog song. I was surprised and pleased at the tone and strength of his voice. His talent was obvious. We had definite signs that his life was going to be full of adventure and entertainment. I was so happy to come to the Cocoa Village Playhouse to see Jay and Pippin. He introduced me to everyone and placed me in a center theater seat, the perfect place to see his show. I am sure I must have been a bit of a nuisance to those around me, telling everyone that Jay was my grandson. My pride was clearly showing. I loved Jay from his first day on earth, and I will love him until my last. Rest in peace, my sweet boy.
Since Jason's passing, I've tried to come up with the words that would say exactly what I feel and how I could pay tribute to Jason in a meaningful way that would honor him and let him know exactly what he meant to me, even though we didn't get to spend a lot of time together through most of his life. As I was going through Jason's belongings, learning more and more about who he was and what was important to him, I found a constant theme running through all the writings and pictures that I went through. And that was, he always had an optimistic outlook and an unbelievable smile. Jason always had a positive comment to give on any situation, good or bad. And that comment always came with a smile, and most times a chuckle that would lighten even the most negative of situations. Some things that I'd like for you to know about Jason. When Jason was very young, he loved the Pink Panther. He had a small Pink Panther and he took it with him everywhere that he went. If he was awake or if he was asleep, he always took the Pink Panther with him. One day we were shopping and we came across a life-size Pink Panther. And we bought it. And we brought it home and we hid it until Jason went to sleep. And then we replaced the little Pink Panther with the big Pink Panther. And after about 3 days of lugging the life-size Pink Panther around, we replaced it again with the small. Jason had a pet goldfish named Airplane. I guess if you think about it, goldfish sort of glide through water like a plane glides through air. That's the closest I could ever get to understanding the name for it. Jason used to come and stay with us during the summer. I remember he came up one summer and he signed up for baseball, and he played baseball that summer. I'm pretty sure he really wasn't interested in baseball. But I think he thought that it would make me happy, so he played baseball. I enjoyed watching him play. At the end of his stay, as I was taking him back to the airport, he handed me a cassette tape. He said, "Here, Dad, please listen to this." It was a recording of Jason singing with the Tampa Bay Orchestra. It was unbelievable. It was so good, and he was so young. I knew right then that was probably the last time I'd ever see him play baseball. He was so talented and so gifted. He loved acting and singing and dancing and children and most people. Jason was an exchange student. He studied in Germany during his senior year in high school. Jason worked on a cruise ship as an entertainer also. Jason worked at Disney for a number of years. I remember seeing him on TV actually in New York at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. When Karen and I had Zachary, my second son, we took him to Disneyland. Jason arranged for us to have breakfast in the Magic Kingdom. If that wasn't enough, he arranged for all the characters in the Magic Kingdom to come to our table and say hi to Zachary. Everyone else in the place was looking at our table like, who is that? Why are all the characters over there? That was always how Jason was with us and everyone else. He always wanted to make everything special and make everyone feel special. He was always able to do that, and that was truly a gift. Later, when Jason would come to visit, he would always talk about his mom and his little sister. He loved them both dearly. Cindy and Miranda, I'm very sorry and truly sorry for your loss, for our loss. We lost a very special person, a very special son. Jason can never be replaced. Fortunately, our memories of Jason will never be replaced either. Jason loved Rufus Wainwright. Say that 10 times quick. When I was going through Jason's belongings here in Florida, Cindy told me a story about taking Jason to see Rufus Wainwright. And Jason loved Rufus Wainwright. And while they were at the concert, Jason kept telling Cindy, "Mom, I need to slip him a note. Mom, I should slip him a note." And Cindy said, "Well, do it." But he never did. After thinking about that for a little while, I reached out to Rufus Wainwright, and I explained to him the situation, and I asked him if it would be possible to appear here today to say some words just to comfort the family. Or if he wasn't able to do that, to send a videotape, thinking that, it would be a long shot, but I was going to ask the question because I wanted to do that for Jason and for Cindy. So I believe that we have a video of Rufus Wainwright.
It's Rufus Wainwright, and I'm sending love and beauty and appreciation today to you guys concerning Jason. And I'm so sorry I never got to meet him. Sounds like he was a wonderful, wonderful man. And yeah, take care and yes, be good.
when I got back from Florida, several weeks after I got back, I was flipping through the channels at night, and there was a Rufus Wainwright concert on Austin City Limits, and I happened to catch it from the beginning. And when he started singing, it reminded me so much of Jason. And then when he started talking, it was Jason. Rufus played a huge part in Jason's life. And like I said, he kept telling Cindy that he should pass him a note. Well, as I was going through his things, I found a note to Rufus. So I'd like to read it for you. It says, "I don't know if it is your songs that pinpoint certain aspects of my life, or if it is my life that pinpoints certain aspects of your songs. Either way, the goosebumps arrive. I breathe like I'm alive, and a grin comes on that helps me know that I'm not alone, and that somewhere I have a home. Thank you, Rufus Wainwright. Most sincerely, Jason Crase." Jason loved this playhouse and all the people that he met and worked with during the time that he spent here. Stacy, he always spoke lovingly of you and loved you for everything that you and he shared over the years, and for all the support and guidance you gave him. Being here today and seeing and being part of this memorial and hearing all the people speak of Jason and their memories of him makes me understand why he loved Cocoa Village Playhouse and Stacy so much. You were all terrific, and we can never thank you enough for this memorial. I couldn't think of a better tribute for Jason. Thank all of you. Jason taught me a number of lessons as we went through life together. The first one he taught me was always have a positive outlook. For me, that's easier said than done sometimes, but I'm trying. The other lesson was smile like you have a secret that nobody will ever guess. He always smiled like there was something else that he knew or saw, but he was never going to let you in on it. The other lesson that he taught me was to make everybody feel special and make every moment together special. He did this better than anyone I've ever met in my life. It came natural to Jason because that's who Jason was and how he lived his life. Jason listened to advice and criticism, but in the end, he made decisions that were right for him and how he wanted to live his life. Jason packed more life and experiences into his 42 years than I will ever be able to experience in my own. For that, I'm truly grateful. Jason always lived his life like he knew he only had a short time to discover and experience everything he possibly could. The single most important lesson that Jason taught me was this: life isn't about playing it safe and waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain and making the most out of every experience, albeit bad or good. In Jason's case, it wasn't just dancing, it was singing too. I don't think that it's an accident that his favorite musical of all time was Singing in the Rain. I love you, Jason. Until we see each other again, I will be singing in the rain, just like you taught me.
Thank you so much. Jason loved the STARS program. He loved the youth that he worked with over time. And I'd like to welcome to the stage Eli Hillman, who is speaking on behalf of so many stars of tomorrow and the young people whose lives were touched by Jason. Eli.
Hi there. Took a couple notes on my phone. The first time I met Jason was at the 28th season announcement party, and he was singing "Close Every Door," Joseph. And man, it was just awestruck to watch him perform. You know, I knew that I wanted to be just like him. You know, he was one of my biggest role models personally. And seeing as I'm up here to talk about his accomplishments with STARS and with the youth, seeing as I'm one of the students, I figured I'd share just some personal experiences. Because Jason was such an incredible leader. And a really great teacher, you know. He taught me so much. He really taught me how to sing, really just through observation. You know, I would watch him perform and take notes, you know. During Beauty and the Beast, he had come up to me because I had tried to get closer to him during Brigadoon, which was one of the summer fine arts shows that he had been working. And he asked me if I could help him, his little personal assistant, you know. And while I was doing that, I would help him hook up the wires to his candles. And I got to spend so much time with him and learn so much about him and learn his ways, you know. And through that, he taught me so much humility, because I just didn't understand how someone so incredibly talented could be so humble, you know. I don't think there's a single person out there who could say anything negative about Jason, you know. Jason really helped me to find a place, you know, not only just in theater, but in life. Because when I was really getting close with him was during middle school, and, you know, it's a rough time for everybody. So he made this place feel like home. I know he did that for a lot of people. And his work with the STARS program, he really helped a lot of people to grow into their talent, you know. And I know I was not the only person who felt a lot from him. I wish I had prepared more to say about him, because there's just so much to say about Jason. I'm gonna miss you. After they announced this new season, we're doing Guys and Dolls and STARS next year, all that I could think about was, man, I wish Jason would be there to see this one, you know. Ever since he had left to go on to his next chapter in life, the last performance that I got to do with him was Cinderella. And every show since then, he's been a huge motivation for me. I always have to pretend like he's there, you know. Because he was always one of those few people whose opinions I actually cared about. I always thought of him as my mentor. He was my teacher. And every year, or not every year, every show that we would get to vote for the Stacy Award nominee, I would always vote for Jason. Sometimes even if he wasn't in the show. Because I just felt like he was so deserving. Because he did so much for this theater. I only knew him as a part of this theater. But it's been great being here today and seeing how full his life was. So yeah, I really hope that one day I can be like him, you know, and to be as talented as him. So, thank you.
As many of you know, in the theater, when we close a show, we have a tradition that's called closing circle. Are you familiar with this? Yeah. And as many of you know, that closing circle can go on and on and on, because just to be honest, we just have so many precious memories of a show, precious memories of the many shows, the many encounters, and in a way, this is a closing circle that we pray points us toward the future. The family had wanted us to have a time with open mic, and we're going to do that. I'm going to invite Rick to come out, because Rick and I were asked to kind of manage this, and we were asked to keep this to, yeah, that's the stance. There you go. Just do a little Elvis, and we'll be fine. Okay? But we are asking you, if you would like to make a comment, we want to have those comments, but to keep that to 1 minute. And for theater people, I know that's difficult. So Rick and I, we looked around backstage for that long hook that's from the vaudeville era. We could not find it. But what did we find? The trap door is still here from back when the pit was different. So all jesting aside, we do want to invite you. Is there someone who would like to come and be first? That's always the most difficult. Someone that would like to come and share a comment or a special memory, a thought. Please come.
Hello. I'm going to try to keep this to 1 minute. I don't have anything prepared. Okay. I'm Lidra. I'm Jason's cousin. We were about 3.5 years apart. I don't have anything prepared, but I have so much to say about Jason, and I'm sure you all do too. Jason was my best friend since he could talk. And some things you might not know about him are that as soon as he could talk, he started singing. And his mom, Cindy, my aunt, got him a karaoke machine before those were really a thing, I think, a little toy one. And he would perform for us back then when he could first learn songs. He always was jealous of my pink nightgown. He always wanted one. And he wanted my pink popple, too. Really bad. As we grew up together, we would, when Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation tape came out, we made up dance routines to every song on that album. He was dancing back then as well. I can say that he was my best friend that I'd ever had. And I'm right along with Andrea and the rest of our family. We just can't, it doesn't seem like he's not here. So maybe it'll always stay that way. Maybe we'll always feel like he's with us. Jason moved to Columbus, Ohio, where I live. He's from Ohio originally. And when he moved there, he instantly got involved with the theater in Columbus, the Short North Stage. And they loved him as much as you did here. He played so many wonderful roles, and then he started helping with hair and costume and dance. And he even talked me into doing a role with him. And I'm quite shy on stage, actually. But he worked with me on dance parts day in and out after he would work at the theater, just because he wanted me to have that experience in my own life. And I'm so glad he did. Everyone that ever met Jason when he lived in Columbus, Columbus, Ohio is very fun. There's a lot of people in their 40s like me that have costume parties and dance all night. And are silly and free and open like he was. Everyone that met Jason fell in love with him. He had something that I've never seen in anyone else. It was a light, but he also connected with everybody, genuinely. And he was always positive, like Randy said. Even when he wasn't always positive with himself, he always had something to give everybody that made them feel better. He was just such an inspiration, and I'm gonna miss him so much. But I know you all are as well. And I just wanted to tell you that when I told people in Ohio that he had passed, people that had only met him once wept to know that somebody so beautiful had to leave. And I believe that his energy is definitely just moved on. He was very spiritual, and he believed that his energy would move on. So just know that he's doing fine. It's just us. We're gonna have to miss him, and that's gonna be hard, but he wants us to be happy. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Hannah. Though I've been away for a little while, I'll always be a part of the Playhouse family. I wanted to share a quick story about one of my very first shows here with Jason, maybe in St. Louis. I was maybe 7 or 8, it's very little. And after opening night, we were downstairs in the dressing room, and we were so tired after the show and tech rehearsals. And Jason and I were at the bottom of the steps, and I looked up at him, and so I couldn't possibly walk up the stairs. I'm just not strong enough. Clearly, I was a dramatic child. And Jason looks down at me and he smiled. And he just scooped me up. He carried me up the steps, and that became our ritual after every single show. He carried me up those steps, and our relationship grew and evolved over the last 20 years as we grew and evolved. But something about Jason never changed. And that was, if you weren't strong enough, he was there to pick you up and carry you through it. And I just hope that's something we all take away from him and take into our own lives. So thank you, Jason.
Don't take this the wrong way. Thank you. But I feel worse now than I did when I walked in. Because I miss Jason and his smile and the hugs that he would give me and my wife and my kids whenever we'd see him. Sometimes weeks would go by, sometimes months would go by, and sometimes even years would go by. And whenever he came back, it was just like he'd never left. But after hearing all of you guys who knew him so much better than I did, I miss him even more. So just 2 quick things. My daughters started performing here at 8 and 9 years old, and they grew up on this stage performing with Jason many, many times. I watched Jason evolve from a very good performer to a phenomenal performer. And I just can't help but remember that when Gabrielle was 13 or 12, or there was a show where they did the 2 of them. I think it was Surrey with the Fringe on top, and she was so excited to get to share the stage, a duet, just the 2 of them with Jason Crase, because by that point he was already Playhouse royalty. And the other thing with Dominique was Little Mermaid with Ariel, and in that ridiculous Dan Hill created Scuttle costume, strutting around here doing positivity. And that's what you guys are talking about. He was reflecting his life. He was positive. He emanated positivity, the light that Rick was talking about all the time. And there he was portraying it on stage with feathers and striped socks. And thank you all for doing this. Jason was very, very special, and he's going to be missed. Thank you.
Good afternoon, I'm Leroy Darby, and I had the privilege of being on stage with Jason. I also directed a show called The Negro Spirituals in a tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King. And Jason called me and said, now listen, I've always wanted to do Negro Spirituals. Don't know much about it, but I always wanted to do Negro Spirituals. I said, that's not a problem, my brother. Come on down to the rehearsals and we're gonna have a good old shouting time. And with that, Jason said, I will be there. And he never missed a rehearsal. We had so many others that were a little reluctant about being a part of a Negro spiritual tribute, but Jason fell right into the groove, fell into the rhythm. And as you know, Negro spirituals are songs that are really upbeat, clapping hands, stomping your feet, and moving to the right, moving to the left. And he just brought it. The brother was such a wonderful person. Everyone in that rehearsal loved Jason. We all loved him so dearly. And thank you, family, for letting him be a part of our lives. He meant so much to all of us. Thank you.
Okay, my name's Lillian. I am Jason's second cousin. So I unfortunately don't know him as well as a lot of our family does, but the first time I ever met Jason, I was at Lidra's loft, my aunt, and he texted to ask if we needed anything before he got there. And I asked for Slim Jims and Funyuns and pickles, and he brought all three. One time, I gave myself a really bad haircut because my mom wouldn't let me get one that I wanted, and he tried to fix it. I ended up with a mullet for a little bit. So I know a lot of you guys know him from his theater life, and I unfortunately wasn't too involved in that. I live in northern Florida now, and we've kind of just lived in different places. I wish I could have made time to come out, but I didn't know him all that well, so I didn't know if that'd be strange. But it's, you know, a lot of you guys don't know a lot about our family, but we've lost a lot of people in the past few years, and it's been difficult. And I just wanted to come up here and say that it's really important, even if you do have distant family that you might not know a whole lot about, it's important to grow connections with them, because then you get to this point where you don't have them here anymore, and you can't ask them the questions that you might have wanted to. Yeah, all you can do is listen to stories, and I wish I had my own to share. But thank you guys so much for coming out. It's cool to see how many people are here to support you and us. So thank you.
I'm not auditioning for part as a pirate. I've got something wrong with my leg. Hi everyone, my name's Karen. I'm an independent producer and creator, and I've written many shows, but luckily I had the fortune to have a weekend of doing shows here. And the show, sorry, I could be hired as a professional crier as well if you need that. The show is called Music at the Big Top, and William Yo had the wonderful idea to pay tribute to circus music from the olden days. And if you aren't a big fan of circus, it might just have been a lot of waltzes and what have you. And Daniel Cero, a dear friend of mine, asked me if I would write a show and get involved, and I did. And you know, the more and more the story unfolded, I was like, I need a really key leading man, someone that's going to just keep that show going. I want comedy, I want drama, I want people to cry, because I obviously like crying a lot. And I want them to really have their hearts touched. And there was only ever one person in my mind, and that was Jason. And ever since I've lived in this area for the last 20 years, but yes, I've still got my British accent, I've always come to the Playhouse, and I've always loved it. And it kept me sane throughout the COVID period of time. But when Cindy called me, when Jason was spending some time away, and I was going to see Jason, and that very same week it became not possible for various reasons. And I said to her, you know, I rewrote this show, and it was in a little bit of a rush, and Jason and I talked about rewriting it, and he had so many great lines, and thankfully I did jot some of them down, but I said, maybe I can give him the show and we can redo it in a different format, and him and I will write that show together. Sadly, that time never came. I remember giving him a book called The Night Circus, and I said, I want you to really read that and take away my feel of how this show should be. And he took it very seriously. And it doesn't really matter if you only had a short time with someone as your friend, as long as it was a good time. And we did become very close. We had a fantastic evening at my house that went on till the early hours of the morning. And I won't really tell you about what went on, but it was a lot of fun, and we ended up biting each other's toes. And I really don't know why, that doesn't sound like it may do. It's a different, yeah, I don't drink a lot of red wine, that's my motto. But I loved him, he was a very special person, and I never imagined him not being in a show that I'd do in the future. And although I certainly hope one day to do the Music of the Big Top again, there won't really be another ringmaster, but there will be a top hat with a candle that's a tribute to him. So he was so loved, and even people like me that only knew for a few months, those few months he took away a big part of my heart, and he'll always stay there. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Karen, and it's been almost 2 decades since I stood on this stage. It's pretty crazy. You may remember me as Hauser, but Jason, I have to say, he knew me when he was in middle school and I was here on the stage. And he wasn't a blip on my radar because I was 6 years older and he was a little kid and I was a sort of teenager. So fast forward a few years, Stars of Tomorrow is happening. I'm part of Children's Community Theater. He's seen me on the stage. Again, I don't even know that he's watching me on the stage and observing me. And I'm working at Disney in the mid-90s. And I hear this very familiar voice come behind me and say, Karen, it's Jason. He just started working at Disney, and that right there cemented our bond, and we were so close for so long. I asked him to sing in my wedding because I picked the song Come What May from Moulin Rouge, and I could only think of one person who could sing that, and that was him. He almost didn't make it to my wedding. He had a situation that occurred, and nobody at my party told me that, thank goodness, but he was there. He showed up for me, and he sang it. It was amazing. And I'm here for him today because I didn't get to have a lot of personal connection with Jason face to face over the last far too long, decade or so. But I was so lucky because my aunt still is very much in the community theater here in Brevard County. And so my Aunt Sarah and Jason would often take selfies and send them to me when they were together. So I still got to see and connect with him, even though I didn't get to talk to him. And I just really, I miss him a lot. I wish I had more time.
Wanted to do this before I lost the nerve. I like Eli, observed Jason through the years that we performed alongside each other, and before he left to go on his latest adventure that took him away from the Playhouse, we were just developing our personal friendship, but I'd performed alongside him for years, and he made a huge impact on who I am as a performer and who I wanted to be as a performer, as well as a scene partner and a role model to the students. We've heard a lot from everyone about how he made them feel special. And it's so funny how you hold on to these memories and you think like we had this special moment. And then to hear like, no, that was his gift. He did that for everybody. It's really amazing. But we've also heard a lot about his natural talent, which there's no denying he had. But one thing I really wanted to share with you was what I observed, his dedication to his craft. And his attention to details that sometimes you think no one notices, he would notice, and he would comment on them, and you would feel seen. And the story I wanted to share came from a time we actually got cast opposite of each other. And if any of you guys had the privilege of being cast opposite of Jason, you know it was more exciting than getting the role itself because you knew we were going to steal the show. But after our very first rehearsal with the company, being cast opposite each other in White Christmas, he asked me to come about an hour early to rehearsal the next day, if I could. He just wanted to talk through some stuff, and I was like, absolutely, of course. I thought he was going to tell me what he wanted to do with his character and this, that, and the other. And we got to the studio and he had his script open and I could barely see the dialogue because of all the notes he'd taken, thoughts, things he wanted to try, things he wanted to do. But he didn't get into those. He just sat across from me and he asked me, tell me about Judy. How do you see her? What's she like? What things does she like? Why does she like Phil? He wanted to know who Judy was, in my eyes at least, and he wanted to know that because he wanted to better support me as my love interest. He wanted to let me create and let me explore and let me build something, and then he wanted to like react off of that. And I thought that was so cool. He was the more seasoned and clearly the more established, and he wanted to let me drive and he wanted to create with me. And I felt so special in that moment. And it was a learning moment. It taught me who I wanted to be as a scene partner for others in the future. And it taught me that no matter how like naturally gifted you are, like there's work that goes into it. And he was really passionate, and he just, whether it was a project he'd been waiting to do forever or a project he maybe wasn't really that excited about or didn't really know that much about, he poured himself into it and gave it 1,000%. And it showed on this stage as you've heard. And I never got to tell him how much he impacted me. And I promised myself I would never do that again, let someone go and not tell them how much they impacted me. So I encourage you guys to do the same. Thank you.
These moments of impact that are so powerful. Come on, we are watching the time, but we want to get to those. It's the impact, isn't it?
My name is Taylor Hickey. I'm not a performer, so I'm going to be bringing in a different aspect of Jason. I'm also going to be saying something on behalf of my wife. I'm sorry, I'm a crier. Yeah, I know, but youth thespians can be really intimidating at times. I don't know. I'm relatively new to the Playhouse. I think I'm like 8th year-ish, maybe. So relatively a baby. And so when I was first here, I was supporting Dominique, and I would sit off to the side, and I would just watch. But he was one of the first, Playhouse people to come talk to me, to reach out to me. And that meant a lot. Because then it felt like I was a part of this place, more so than just being Dominique's spouse or, boyfriend at the time. You guys have all nailed it today. Jason, he was built different than, your average person. And there are 2 things that I'd like to say on behalf of Dominique today. I'm probably not the best one to speak on the first one, but the first one is, oh my gosh, thank you. You think I've learned if I'm a crier that when I come up with things like this, I bring my own tissues. I have not yet learned. The way that she would talk about Jason as a performer and how he would share the stage with the person opposite casted, I probably don't have the right lingo for it, but he was easy to feed off of. He was easy to share those big moments. I know she talked about it with Lumiere and Beauty and the Beast, which my family still talks about Jason to this day, saying he was just phenomenal. And Scuttle when she was Ariel. It was those moments that she talked most about when she would come back from rehearsal or off the stage. And then there was our wedding day. That's supposed to be our day. I didn't feel like that. What I mean is, we do the big reveal where my back's turned and then I turn around and go, oh my gosh, you're amazing, right? And the very first thing that she says to me is, I just got done talking to Jason Crase on the phone. Somebody called him, and I got to FaceTime him. Just let that moment sink in for a ride. We did the first review, and she's like, I just got to speak to Jason Crase. That's the kind of impact he had on her. That's the kind of impact he had on me. And so I just felt like I needed to share that. So thank you.
I do bring my own tissue, because I'm also a crier. I come up from a different side of knowing Jason. And I see a pattern of, the Playhouse and his family, and there's a separation. And I was blessed enough to pretty much hear about all you guys. And if anybody knows Jason, he was pretty private about his stuff. And we both, unfortunately, were in a spot where we had time, and lo and behold, we're roommates, let's just say. And when I first seen Jason come in,
to where we were at. He shows up and he's got, his hair is uncut. He's got an afro, big red afro, and he's clean shaven though, and he's got a big African garment like thing on with flip-flops, and so at the place, unfortunately, we're at, everybody looks and goes, what the heck? And it's not the easiest place, and it's a dark place, but he shows up and he's just so happy, and it's hard to be happy where we are at. And so he ends up literally my I guess bunkie next to him. So we had many late nights to talk, and we had time on our hands, unfortunately. And so I got to know him in a whole other way, and was able to. It's not an easy place for someone so bright and cheery all the time. You almost got to turn another face off, and there is no, for someone so bright and cheery all the time, you almost got to turn another face off, and there is no emotion. And that was hard for him. It was hard for me too, to be honest with you. But we had many late nights of talking, and we had a lot in common, and we worked through things together. And I finally asked him. I said one night, Jason, something had happened that somebody was inappropriate, and I said, can I get in the way of this? And he says, no, you can't tell no one. I said, well, I'm not okay with that. And I was a little more seasoned and a little bit bigger, and had been there a little while. And so I said, no, that's, I didn't lie to him because I didn't tell nobody, but I made sure that didn't happen again. And I told him, he said, did you say something to this person? And I said, I said, yeah, I said something. He goes, well, what if you don't know how bad that guy's day was? And maybe it sat me back for a minute, because this person was inappropriate. It confused me, and his ability to, as some of y'all would say, make the best out of. He would smile. He would smile after he said this to me, and he gave me a big hug, and he goes, thank you so much, and he didn't know how to take. Being where we're at, you gotta be on guard with things, and he didn't know how to really take that relationship at first with me, but I didn't know how to take him either. It didn't look right, I guess you could say, but we're strong in numbers, and he was about numbers. He was about bringing everybody together, and he opened my eyes to a whole new outlook on the way to look at things. And at this part, I was in my heart had gone a little cold, or it had gone hardened, and he was the one to start to get that moving again, to get a little softness going. And I had the blessing of spending 4 months every day, every night, eating the same crappy food, and had the best bunkie ever, and everybody's speaking of impact. The impact that he's made on me has changed my outlook on a lot of diversities, and challenges in my own life. My daughters only met him for 5 minutes, right? And they still hear about him today. They still ask about him today, because I've spoken so much that he's put into me. And I know that he was appreciative because of my impact on him, us struggling with some of the same things, and he will be missed. And it was really hard to hear, because you question faith sometimes, and he was more faithful than anybody that I know, especially where he was sitting at times. He loved the Lord. I don't know
if anybody spoke on that or not, but he loved the Lord, and the Lord loved him. And he changed my outlook on that whole thing. And he will be missed. And I won't forget him either, man. He's made an impact. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more, and then I know we want to hear from our drama mama, and she's in the wings as well.
Hi, my name is Tori. Thank you, Jeff Boy. I've performed on this stage a lot, and this is the most nervous I've ever been. I remember I started performing here when I was 10, and I remember coming to the announcement party, and there was always a performance he was in at the announcement party. And I was like, I don't know who he is, but he's just fabulous. And the first time I ever got to work with him was my senior year of high school. I was 17. We did On the Town together. And I was his Ivy Smith, and he was my Gaby. And I remember even during the callbacks, I was like, wow, that was one of the best scenes I have ever been a part of, and it was just a callback. I was like, wow, okay. And then I get the call that I got the part, and we go in, and I'm like, oh, yay, it's Jason. Yeah, I get to finally work with him. This is awesome. And he was always pulling me aside. He was like, let's go over our lines. I want us to really figure out, why is Gaby just trying to find Ivy Smith? I want to know. We worked on it a lot. He would always, when we would have a rehearsal with Pam, he would always pull me aside before every show and go, hey, it's time. And we would go into the stairwell and we would practice. And I would go, why are you so nervous? You've got this. He's like, I'm just so scared of dropping you. And I'm like, you're never gonna drop me. You're never gonna drop me. And he never did, because I knew he was always there for me. I always knew it. And even though that was my last time, or my last show here before going off to college, before I came back, every time I would come back to visit, he would turn around and he would say, well, no wonder I felt good today. Tori's here. And it just always made me feel so special, and to know that I only did one show with him, and he has made such an impact on my life, and I just love him so much. And the last time I ever saw him, I came to sit in on a rehearsal for Cinderella because I was about to go on tour. And I saw him after the rehearsal, and he gave me the biggest hug. As we know, Jason's hugs are the best. And he was like, I am so proud of you. If there's anybody that's gonna go out into this world, it's you. And I wish you the best. And that's the last time I saw him. And you never know when it's gonna be the last time you see somebody, but he loved to perform. And I was overseas working on a cruise ship, which the Wi-Fi is horrible. And how I found that he passed away was a friend sent me Jonathan Goforth's Instagram post, and all it said was, we will miss you, my friend. And the photo wouldn't load, and I was like, oh my gosh, who is it? And his photo loaded, and I just broke down. And after the few days, the Wi-Fi was horrible, but every time I would try to play music on my phone, it would automatically go to Lonely Town from On the Town, which was one of his solos. And it still happens randomly now. I'll just go to press anything else, and Lonely Town will start playing on my phone. And I let it play because I know that's Jason's way of saying, hey, Tori. Thank you.
I want to invite Dr. Anastasia Hawkins-Smith to come, our drama mama. She calls me the chaplain of the Playhouse, and I told her earlier, I think you're the pastor of the Playhouse, because she shepherds us with great love and devotion. And I know this is hard, and we're all here for you.
Well, and this is a time that words cannot express what words cannot express. But today, I am forever grateful for each of you who shared something with us. There's people here today that didn't know Jason other than watching his performance. And that's amazing to me. And thank you for being a part of him and a part of all of us. My heart is breaking. And 2 days ago, a dear friend said, sometimes, Stacy, the only way to get out of something is to walk through it. And today is the day that we're walking through, and I am forever grateful and will be forever grateful for Jason. And he would want us right now to bow and leave the building, walking in love and in light and in victory and embracing every single moment that we have together. And then a day ago, a very dear friend said, Stacy, we don't hate each other, ever, anyone. We don't burn bridges with each other, anyone. And today, every day, let's embrace each other and the moments that we have together. And that dear friend was with 7 of us as we laid our other dear friend, Chris Waterman, his ashes in internment. And now, letting you know that Jason's family are sharing his ashes, and tomorrow they will be also placed in a very special place that is for Jason, all right? And I could go on and on, but how do you group together 30 years together? And the way we do that is we look at each other and we share these moments. And Andrea, if it means anything, I completely forgot about firing you and Jason. But I remember I'm standing on my tiptoes, but I remember your office in the bathroom, and I forgot, and I know one thing, Jason Crase was never late again, ever again after that. So as always, we lived by, there's several things we live by here at the theater, and one of them is Psalms 121. And Jason carried that on his phone. And I am forever grateful because a few days that we had right before he passed away was some of the most blessed, fabulous moments ever. And this building and our hearts will be always full of Jason's laughter. And that's what we need to hold on to. And Jason has gone home. He is home. We thought the Playhouse was his home, but can you imagine his home now? And he will always be with us. And as long as we still speak his name, he's alive, and we will. And you also know that I always have to end with announcements. And we're announcing that we will be carrying on in STARS a Jason Crase Memorial Scholarship Fund just for the STARS, just for the children. And that fund is to fund those who can't afford the tuition. And for STARS, my goodness, it's $300 for the whole year, which is amazing. And no one is turned away ever because of money. And Jason will live on there. And the last thing is that Jason was Peter Pan. You think that he had roles here, but Jason was Peter Pan. And he always will be. And we are going to present our Peter Pan in loving memory of Jason. I couldn't say it that night, but I'm saying it now because he's flying, and so many things of the show just reflect him and his life. And Pastor Jeff, I'm going to ask to read Psalms 121 in a moment, because this is the first time that the leading lady needs to say that it's time for another leading man to read it. And I want to leave you with the last thing that is a humorous thing, I hope, that I shared with his family. This costume over here, you know, we think that the prince, Jason, the resident prince of the theater, right? That's Jason. And of course we think Joseph, and he always will be Joseph. But Jason was the one over here. That's Scuttle, the seagull. And not only did he have to fly over the stage, but he had to pretend he was in a storm, and the harness that he was in was flipping over on purpose. And one of the first times at the rehearsal, he's up in the air, he's mic'd, we can hear him, he's singing, he's flying, and it came time to flip, and he flipped, and as he flipped, they're pulling him off, and he's going, whoa, and then they pulled him back, and we had the rest of the scene in the air. And I am just grateful, and there is no replacement for Jason, nor should there ever be. We walk one day at a time in our victory together. And now Pastor Jeff's going to read Psalms 121 for all of us. Yes.
Some of you may think that this comes from the Sound of Music script, and it does, but it came first from the Word of God, Psalm 121. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore. These are words that we trust. Let's pray together. Father, we thank you for this time, these thoughts that continue, that will continue, these words that we will share, memories that have yet to come back to mind, but we will share. For we so value and cherish Jason and the very special gift that you gave when you allowed him to be born into this world when you thought him up. We thank you for the unique way that he has touched and impacted every person gathered here and those who are not able to be among us. We pray that you will go with us now in your comfort, in your peace, and in your grace. May we find our way through and find the healing that we need. It is in your holy name that we pray. Amen.
We invite you to stay and share with each other more stories. We thank Rick and we thank Jeff and family and friends. We just thank you so much for being here today. And thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.